Welcome back. You are watching Morning Express. My name is Trix Ingada. We are talking about the very latest in politics in the country. The papers are awash with political news this morning. 15 counties to watch in the State House race. We also have information about Mudavadi being under pressure to support Raila Odinga, while on the other hand, Uhuru gave me secrets to climb the mountain. That is what the Deputy President has said as he makes his forays in central Kenya a key block when it comes to the 2022 general election that everyone is looking forward to. It is political open season now. Still, we have some breaking news from Sudan. A military coup appears to be underway in Khartoum. According to Sudanese Al Hadath TV, military forces have arrested several cabinet ministers and besieged the home of Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok and placed him under house arrest early on Monday. The Sudanese network cited unidentified sources and no independent confirmation has been made as yet. The military takeover comes a month after the Sudanese authorities thwarted an attempted coup in late September 2021. The deteriorating relations have put the fragile Sudanese transition to democratic civilian rule in its most precarious position in the 2 years since the removal of former President Omar al-Bashir. We'll be giving you the very latest from that part of the region as the events unfold. As of now, a military coup appears to be underway in Khartoum, Sudan. This is according to Al Hadath TV. Military forces have arrested several cabinet ministers and besieged the home of Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok and placed him under house arrest early today. The Sudanese network cited unidentified sources and no independent confirmation has been made. The military takeover has come a month after the Sudanese authorities thwarted an attempted coup in late September 2021. The deteriorating relations have put the fragile Sudanese transition to democratic civilian rule in its most precarious position in the 2 years since the removal of former President Omar al-Bashir. And we shall be giving you more details about that as it unfolds. But we have here in studio a very heated discussion about who needs to be representing the struggling population, the people who need the economy revived, the people who are looking to the leadership to have their welfare considered. Is it those who can relate, those who cannot relate? Are the philosophies real or are they just marketing ploys to get people to support them? Now with me is Alex Koskei, who's the Mgwen Member of Parliament. We also have Fred Okango, Secretary General Third Way Alliance, and he is now fronting the Strugglers Movement. And we have also Elisha Odhiambo, again Member of Parliament, and he is with us here to speak. They're all here with us here to speak about the very latest in politics. Honorable Koskei, we cut you short while you were making a point before the break. Please do finish your thought.
Okay. You see, there are two issues that were brought up by my friend here, Fred and Mheshimiwa Elisha, which is one is the issue of the definition. Which word do we use? The Deputy President has started off by saying this, he's talking about the hustlers nation. The other people would like to change the definition to something else, to call it strugglers, to call it something this. At the end of the day, we have to recognize that Kenyans are intelligent enough to know that all of these are just playing around with words. These are just playing games. We are talking about essentially the same thing. Maybe they're trying to copy us, hoping that Kenyans will not notice a difference or Kenyans will be hoodwinked. But most Kenyans are intelligent enough to know that if you're talking about a particular group, whether you want to call them hustlers, whether you want to call them strugglers, whether you want to call them the businessmen who do SMEs, small and medium enterprises, whatever name you wish to ascribe to them, we are talking about essentially the same people, the hard-working Kenyans who would like to ensure that the economy improves for them and the people who want to have a better life as we move forward. Now, those are the people who the Deputy President has been talking about. They are the people who we have been saying that if we get elected as the UDA and as a hustler nation, we will try and make sure that from next year, an emphasis is put on the economy, we bring down the debt, and we try and make sure that we put investments where it is needed at the bottom level. Now, the second issue, which has been raised by the two gentlemen, has been on who is best placed to provide this leadership. And they have been trying to suggest that perhaps Mheshimiwa Raila is better placed because of the history. What we have been saying is that as much as we respect him and other people, we think that it is time for him to retire along with the President and to allow the Deputy President, because he's the one who first diagnosed this problem and has been actually championing this at the forefront, to push this agenda. And I think Kenya should be given the opportunity to make that decision. And when we talk about whether this person or that person is best placed, I think you need to look at who has actually been talking about the thing consistently for a long time. They are now trying to play catch-up, they are playing copycat, they are trying to say something similar to what we have been saying, which is fine. We welcome that debate because it is good for them to recognize that at least we should be talking about the economy and not constitutional changes or other such things, which is what they had previously wanted to do. And they had recently, only just a few months ago, they were only talking about the constitution. They didn't even want to talk about the economy. We are happy that they have now actually tried to catch up and play and copy what the deputy president is doing, and it is good to have a debate about this. But I think even if you do have this debate honestly, and any intelligent Kenyan looks at it, they will realize that the only one who has the right solutions and the right ideas is the deputy president with the Hustler Nation, and I think that is what the direction that we will go next year.
Okay, now let's shift gears to another story that is making headlines. This has to do with apparent pressure that's being piled on ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi. We are being told Mudavadi under pressure to support Raila. Now, until 2 weeks ago, ANC leader was busy on the campaign trail, just like the Deputy President William Ruto, and then and ODM leader Raila Odinga. But he has since cooled off amid revelations that powerful forces within government want him to back the former Prime Minister. And here is a quote from Ayub Savula, who says that script is being fronted by some powerful individuals who are pushing Musalia and some of our members to support Raila, but we want to assure our supporters that his name will be on the ballot papers. Mheshimiwa Odhiambo, what do you make of this revelation?
I think the Honorable Musalia Mudavadi is a good gentleman. Do gentlemen lead? Do gentlemen transform a country? Can gentlemen drive an election? I can only wish him well. Okay. But if I were him, I would join his brother Raila Odinga.
What would that do to the bid by Raila Odinga? What kind of support would that offer?
I think that will boost Raila's chances. But remember, we want to unite the country. We don't want anybody outside. Azimio la umoja inawezekana. It therefore means we'll go outrightly out there to fish for anybody left. We want a united country. We want a progressive country. We want a country that cares for everybody. We want a country that can reflect on our history, on our heritage, and say the late Jomo Kenyatta wanted a united Kenya. The late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga wanted a united Kenya. The late Daniel Toroitich arap Moi wanted a united Kenya. We are standing as a party to unite the country so that we can join the tigers of the Asian tigers in a more progressive country. We have rich resources in this country. What is missing is how we utilize those resources. You know, what hurts me? Anytime a corruption event is mentioned in Kenya, like they're all down, who are involved? The ministers that were appointed by the deputy president. There's no minister, there are very few, the ones that are appointed by Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta. And if you look at all the ministers that were appointed by the deputy president, they are from one part of the country. The Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta appointed Kenyans because it was a shared government. If you look at Raila Odinga, when he was a prime minister, he appointed 4 ministers from the Rift Valley, including the deputy president, and including the Honorable Alex's father. Why? Because he wanted a united Kenya. You cannot be selfish that you only want to appoint your cocoon. As it said out there, show me your friends, and I will know who you are. If you look at the people surrounding the deputy president, there are those, you know, the kamikal, you know, those people, you know, that are wash. You know, that you look around him and you are worried. You are worried for the country. Will we get to the Asian tigers? Will our children get jobs? Will the people suffering in Soweto see a better tomorrow? Will the people suffering in Kibera see a better tomorrow? My take, if Raila becomes the president tomorrow, when he was with Kibaki, there was kazi kwa vijana. There's at least something for the ordinary Kenyans. some food, something for them to eat. I'm optimistic this country deserves better. I'm hopeful that tomorrow will be better, but it will be better with Azimio la Umoja. Inawezekana.
Right, Mr. Okango, weigh in on this. Mudavadi under pressure to join Raila, but trust issues won't fade.
Politics is about competition of ideas. Politics is about putting your best foot forward, your best idea forward to the people of Kenya so that the people of Kenya can agree with it or disagree with it. Fortunate enough, in this country, we have seen what has happened in the last 3 years. The politics of peace and development. It has worked. How more can it work if Kenyans, majority of them who are strugglers that we represent today, see a situation where we go for all the champions of the strugglers to come together so that they can face off with the enemy of the struggle. We believe that we have so many champions of the struggle out there. My good friend Gideon Moi is a champion of the struggle. My good friend Mheshimiwa Mudavadi is a champion of the struggle. My good friend Wetangula is a champion of the struggle. My good friend Kalonzo Musyoka is a champion of the struggle. My good friend Raila Odinga is a champion of the struggle. And many more out there. These are gentlemen, in one way or another, have demonstrated that they deserve to lead the strugglers, that they deserve to champion the struggle, that they have championed the struggle before. So it is my wish that as they look forward to be elected as the president of this country, they consider that over 95% of the strugglers out there who are watching would want to see a peaceful country, a country that is inclusive, a country that will have an environment where the struggle for a better future will end and we'll have that better future. Raila Odinga has always promised Kenyans land of milk and honey. That land of milk and honey cannot happen if the struggle does not end. Mudavadi has promised Kenyans uchumi bora. That uchumi bora cannot happen if the struggle doesn't end. Kalonzo Musyoka has promised Kenyans, what he called 24-hour economy. That 24-hour economy cannot happen if we don't end the struggle. Honorable Gideon Moi has promised Kenyans a strengthened devolution where young people and women are included. That cannot happen if the struggle doesn't end. And that's why, in my submission, I plead with all the champions of the struggle to come together, but as they come together, they should also know that the struggle is real, and in the real struggle, it is a competition where people will look at their ideas and somebody who is most suitable. It is interesting and good enough that already the strugglers have identified the enemy of the struggle. And the enemy of the struggle has rebranded himself into another name where he's trying to hoodwink the strugglers. We have come in early enough to debunk that enemy, to debunk that slogan. We are now saying it is time for the champions of the struggle to take this country to the next place where there is a better future, a better life, a better community, a stronger community, an all-inclusive community where you don't say, because you stay in current tricks, you are not worth talking about the people who don't stay in current. Okango here, no one knows his dad because he's a struggler. Maybe people know Kosgei is dad. Maybe people know somebody's dad. But we are saying, who are the majority? Who are believable? Who are sincere? The most sincere and believable majority are the strugglers who have their champions out there. Elisha and I know their champions. Those champions, we appeal to them that one of them, for sure, will be the president of this country come 9th next year.
Okay, and it's because of those dynamics that people do love having running mates and pairing, and those are the considerations that they make when it comes to pairings. And I'd like Honorable Kosgei to make the comment, or rather to respond to the apparent cooling off of Musalia Mudavadi right now amid revelations that powerful forces rather within the government want him to back the former Prime Minister. What do you make of that dynamic, and would you rather that he would back the Deputy President?
Thank you very much, Trix. Let me just say, first of all, listening to my friend Fred here and Honorable Alicia, I've just been smiling to myself because I've been thinking to myself that what they talk about with the strugglers and the hustlers, it just looks like an imitation. And you know, it's good. You know, they say that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And I think what they're doing is really flattering to the Deputy President because he's the one who was talking about the hustler nation and trying to improve the economy, and they have come with a new slogan about the strugglers, which is more or less the same thing. So we encourage them to talk about this because it is fine, because ultimately that's actually what we have been talking about. That's our agenda, to try and improve the livelihoods of the people at the grassroots. In terms of the issue of unity and regional politics, I'm happy that Mheshimiwa Elisha is now talking about trying to bring people together and have a united Kenya as we move forward. That's also what we have always been talking about, because we had always made it clear that the hustler nation is about everybody from every region, from across all demographics, and that was the agenda of the hustler nation and the UDA. What was the agenda previously of those who were supporting the Honorable Raila was regional politics, to try and have blocks in certain areas and use those blocks to try and create some kind of winning coalition to try and balkanize the country. And that was the agenda with the DBI and the change of the constitution. Fortunately, that did not happen. And now that they have seen that that's not going to happen, they have now tried to change gear to say we want to have a united Kenya, which is also good. As I said, both of it is imitation. And it is the imitation, and that is the highest form of flattery. And it is good that they want to do what we were saying all along. Focus on the economy and focus on a one Kenya, one people, and not try and create divisions. As far as the Honorable Musalia Mudavadi is concerned, he is somebody who I respect, and I hope that he will actually eventually see that it is that the person who will change the economy in his best place to bring about some of the change that he himself has sometimes talked about is the Deputy President, because they have actually been talking similar things for a while. And I think he would probably see that he has more in common with the Deputy President's ideas than the Honorable Raila. He is on record as saying many times that the Raila is not honest. He says that what happened with the coalition that they formed, the NASA coalition in 2017, how it broke up was through dishonesty from Raila Odinga. So I would wonder how he would actually be able to work with him at any point in the future. I think it only makes sense for him to work with the Deputy President so that they can actually make a difference in the economy and change lives as what it is that I think their agenda is.
Okay. Now let's also look at Salim Davadi's comments about that attack on Ruto. ANC leader says hooliganism can plunge the country into violence like what was witnessed in 2007 and 2008. Mheshimiwa Odhiambo, would you like to weigh in on that incident? What is your reaction?
With what the decision taken by Matiang'i to stop hooliganism, and you remember very well, Ruto visited Migori. Was he stoned? We welcomed him. Raila visited Eldoret. He was welcomed. We want a country where all politicians will go to all corners of this country without necessarily feeling that they are being disenfranchised. This country belongs to all of us. This country is better when we are together. This country better when everybody can talk the same language. But more importantly, for me, this country has the best brains. I look forward, I'm optimistic, that when Raila Odinga forms the next government, it will bring the synergies of the youth, the skillful youths. Would you imagine all the skillful youths, the brilliant Kenyans brought together, that synergy, the exponential value of that synergy, this country will go places. We don't want promises. When somebody promises the youth, and when they take over, like the Deputy President and the Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, when they take over, they employ old men. We don't want that. We have young Kenyans who have a promising future, who can provide solutions, not panaceas, not prophylaxis, so that this country can go places. I look forward to a better Kenya tomorrow. I look forward to azimio la umoja inawezekana when we come together. And I'm proud that Fred has talked about champions of democracy. If those champions are brought together, this country would go places, would have peace and tranquility. And it's important that my colleague, the Honorable Alex, tells my brother to go through a process of self-introspection. There's always opportunity for growth when you look at inside yourself. It's a paradox to talk about the youth, talk about unity of Kenyans, when you're disrespecting the person who made you the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Humility is for free. Forgiveness is for free. And he remembers very well that he was made who he is by Raila Amolo Odinga. We should not disregard our heritage. We should not disregard the people who have made us to become something. I think this is a final chance. It's a final opportunity for Kenyans, for a renaissance, for Kenya to give Raila a chance, for Kenya to give Raila a chance to unify this country, for Kenyans to see what Raila Amolo Odinga can do vis-a-vis what the rest have done. I remind you, Kenyans, that when Raila was with Kibaki, we had a double-digit growth. When Raila was with Kibaki, we had kazi kwa vijana. When Raila was the Minister for Road, the infrastructure development that we see today was planned then. I look forward to politicians forgiving each other. I don't doubt that Ruto can look at himself and say, I'm young. We have tried with Uhuru, we failed. Let me give Raila Amolo Odinga, a statesman, a chance to leave this country united.
Okay, that will be the day, Mheshimiwa Odhiambo. It will be interesting. And let's take a look at, Mr. Okango, I'd like you to also weigh in on this sentiment of Musalia Mudavadi and condemning the actions of those who attacked Ruto. We have here a sentiment from Johnson Sakaja who says, we should not be back to where we were. We should not return to where people took a look at you based on your last name, not the content of your character. What do you make of that attack on the Deputy President and, of course, the condemnation that has been resounding from many quarters?
It's very unfortunate. The general principles of electoral system requires that the election or the electioneering period must be free from violence. And to that extent, the strugglers movement condemn any election violence, whether it is self-inflicted, sponsored, or self-attracted. We condemn it. But we are also aware of people who go into other areas to provoke deliberately so that they can be attacked to seek sympathy. Because we have also been told of sympathy addicts. So I want to believe that those who organize those violence, they have been arrested by now and they'll be prosecuted, they'll be taken to court so that they face the law. It is unfortunate. We want to ask all the people of Kenya, wherever they are, every one of us has a right to visit every part of this country. Everyone has a right to speak to everyone of this country, to associate. And we should not be boxed in a corner where we are limited on what we are doing. The Bill of Rights in Chapter 4 gives us that inalienable right. We must exercise it. And therefore, what happened in Bungoma is unfortunate. It must be stopped. But I've also seen, I saw Raila Odinga in Eldoret. He was received very well. I saw William Ruto in Migori. He was received very well. I've seen William Ruto in Kiambu. I've seen Raila Odinga in Central Kenya. I saw Gideon Moi in Kericho, Narok. He was received very well. So it means that these are very isolated cases. Kenyans, strugglers are very peaceful people. They love everyone. And that's why I've said, yesterday in our statement, we did say that because majority of the strugglers for a very long time have been mobilized as weapons of mass destruction to cause violence, this time we are coming up as a movement to stop this. The struggle for fight, the struggle for violence must end. We want a Kenya where every struggler can struggle genuinely, peacefully, and put genuine effort to earn a living wherever they are. And the strugglers have identified the champions that they are going to support. Those champions are many, but they'll narrow on one of them because at the end of the day, we shall only have one president. We recognize that in identifying these champions, there are others who are anti the struggle. Okay. They want to sustain the struggle. Okay. We shall ensure that it's only the champion of the struggle becomes the president through a vote. We ask the strugglers.
All right.
The last week of registration is here. Get your gun, the ballot box, the voter registration card, and prepare to put the champions of the struggle in office from MCA to the presidency level.
All right. Honorable Koske, what's your reaction to the apparent hooliganism that we witnessed in the news?
Yes, of course, I agree with my colleague in terms of condemning the violence. Violence must be condemned everywhere. In terms of what happened with the arrests, I think we should at least commend the CS Fred Matiang'i and the police for moving swiftly and arresting those people. And we should make it very clear that that cannot be tolerated anywhere. I'm very proud that recently when Raila was in Eldoret, the people in Eldoret came out in large numbers and welcomed him very well, despite many of them being supporters of the Deputy President. We all agree that we should make sure that we extend the proper courtesy to Raila, and that was something that is to be commended to everybody who did that. And that's a good example for every part of the country. Let leaders from with different opinions feel free to visit anywhere and feel free to push their message. And I believe if we do that, then we'll have a peaceful election and a peaceful transition, which is what all of us, I think, are hoping for.
All right. Now let's take a look at the front page of the Daily Nation this morning. It tells us 15 counties to watch in State House race, likely to become the hotbeds of political campaigns in the next 10 months in the August 2022 polls. The regions made all the difference in 2 recent presidential polls, and there's so many. They have been outlined on the front page of the Daily Nation. Deputy President William Ruto, an ODM leader, have pitched camp in these counties that also account for 1/3 of the projected new voters. What do you make of efforts to win over new voters, Honorable Odhiambo, and also the fact that a chunk of young people would seem or are seemingly apathetic to the whole process, even as IEBC was struggling to get the numbers up? What would you say to young people who couldn't care less?
Important to know that our population statistics were about 51 million. And out of the 51 million, we have about 30 million young people. This country is made of young people. Yes. This country belongs to young people. The future is on the shoulders of young people. Our country gets to where we want to go. It's a decisive moment for the youth. It's opportunity for you to go and take your voter's card. Talk less, talk with action. By taking the voter's card to make a difference. If you fail to take a voter's card, you'll ensure that you're part of failed leadership. If you don't vote, you let those corrupt leaders, those kamikaze leaders be elected because you didn't vote. But if you vote, for sure, the country will be better. This country will be better with your vote. We are better off when the youth participate in the process. I'm encouraging all the youth, number one, starting with my constituency game, that we come out and take a vote. I'm encouraging everybody else, all leaders, let us push our people to vote. Let us entice them in whatever form so that they can come out and vote to make a difference in this country. I am certain that we are going to see numbers. I am certain that we are going to make a difference. We are going to prove, especially for the Nyanza region, that Kenyans, that majority of our women in Nyanza have been giving birth. And we can only prove by showing that we have the numbers, that they can go and vote.
Yeah. Coming on that, what do you say to the young people? There's a lot that goes in with numbers, and of course there are 15 counties that are to be watched, but at the same time, those people who are expected to vote have to be willing to participate in the process. What do you say to young people, those who couldn't be bothered?
The 2019 census report shows us that majority of the population of the 47 million Kenyans are young people, placed at around 75%. And if you look at the IEBC post-election report at that time, in 2017, that was released in 2019, shows us again that 60% of the 19 million voters were young people. So that means We have the numerical strength. In fact, we are the people that will determine the next election. And in their target, IBC are targeting over 6 million new voters. In that 60 million new voters, most of them are going to be their first time to vote. The first time voters, they are again young people. I want to urge all of them, who again are the stragglers, because they're the majority, to go into their registration centers, register as a voter. Because to end the struggle, you must participate in a civic duty called election, where you elect the person of your choice. And I want to urge them to elect the champions of the struggle, right from the MCA to the presidency level, because it is only until then that the struggle shall end. For you to do away with all this, what Mheshimiwa Elisha called chemical, ngamwaya, ngaweka, we must put the champions of the struggle in office, in any elective office, because the strugglers have demonstrated that they are struggling, putting in more effort. But the ngamwayas, the ngawekas, the chemical of this world are stopping that because they want the struggle to continue. We say no, the struggle must end at the final and third liberation called economic revolution, where we shall strengthen devolution so that we take all the services to the strugglers' doorstep in the ward and in the village. Absolutely. The struggle ni real.
Okay, absolutely. Honorable Koske.
Let me just say again, when you look at the pattern of voter registration, I'm very happy so far with what has been happening, especially in the strongholds for the deputy president, because also the young people have been coming out to register, and we want to encourage them to continue to do so. The areas, the strongholds of Raila have actually been lagging, and we encourage them, whilst I encourage them to come out and vote. I think it points to what I was saying earlier about Raila fatigue. I think many of them are actually tired of Raila, because for many of the young people, Raila has been running for president since the 1990s, and some of them weren't even born then. And so I think that fatigue for Raila is one of the things that is probably creating a challenge in terms of getting the votes of the young people to come out and register to vote. To those people, I would actually try and say that they should try and look to the ideas that are being put forward by the deputy president in terms of the Hustler Nation, because it's a new policy, it's a new approach to try and change the economy. And I think if they were to look at that and try and look at the plans that we have to make the Kenya a different country from next year, that cuts across regions, cuts across all demographics, and improves the economy, then hopefully they will get the motivation and the encouragement to come out and register, come out and vote, and hopefully next year make a vote for change that will improve their lives.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'd like to give all our panel members an opportunity to give our closing comments as we wind up the discussion. I'll start with you, Ms. Mheshimiwa Odhiambo.
Number one, before I say my final comment, my heart goes out to one lady Kenyan who was killed by a British soldier. Right. And I insist that the British government needs to come clean on the death of that Kenyan. That poor Kenyan is a member of this country. She deserves to live. My heart goes out to Tirop, who was killed by the husband in the Rift Valley. My heart goes out to the many Kenyans who have died in the hands of people they trusted. I've seen this happening a lot more in Rift Valley. And I want to encourage the Honorable Alex Kosgei, let the leaders in Rift Valley talk about the domestic violence that we are seeing in the Rift Valley. I want to urge all Kenyans, I want to urge all the voters that we have a final opportunity to change this country. We have a final moment. We have a great moment for Azimilio la Umoja. Inawezekana. It can only happen with your vote. If you vote Raila Amolo Odinga, you vote for the future. You vote for progress. You vote for a prosperous Kenya. You vote for Kenya that everybody will be together to share resources. If you fail to vote, you are voting for people who will steal your resources. If you fail to vote, you are voting for people who will disenfranchise you in this country, who will come here and take your land. You have a choice to protect the heritage of our country. I know for sure Kenya is where we are because the forefathers fought and united Kenya. The late Mzee Kenyatta fought for the independence of this country. and the late Jaramogi. The late Moi respected Mzee Kenyatta. And that's why he became a president. The late Kibaki respected, the Honorable Kibaki, the former president, respected President Moi. And that's why he became a president. We have seen disrespect. And in the last 4 years, the Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga has respected Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. I can see history happening. This is the moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Okango.
I take this opportunity to thank Kenyans for being resilient. And my parting shot goes to all Kenyans who are struggling in their daily lives, putting effort to put food on the table, putting effort to take their children to school, putting effort to pay their rent, and putting effort to have a better government and a better leadership in every successive election. You have a perfect opportunity to exercise your civic rights and duty by electing one of your champions who believes in your strengths, who believes in your weakness, who believes in the struggles that you have undergone all these decades, and who believes that because struggle is real, that struggle must end. I want to ask you, go out, you strugglers, in your millions and numbers, register as voters in this last week and keep that voter's card, because the time to unpack, the time to finish, the time to end theft of public money, to strengthen corruption, to bring you strugglers and many women out there into positions of leadership, elective and appointive, is the time when you'll cast that ballot on 9th September 2022, in 9 months from now.
Okay.
It is real, it is possible, and we shall do it.
All right. Honorable Kosgei, your closing remarks.
Well, let me just say that next year will be a transition election, like what happened 10 years ago and 20 years ago. And this year, or next year, the choice is really clear. It has been framed very clearly. It is either between the deputy president, who wants to actually change the economy and make a difference in the lives of the people, whether those people are going to be called hustlers, or as my friend wishes to call them, strugglers, or whichever name you wish to appropriate to them. That group who want to make a difference in their lives are on one hand. And then on the other hand is another group who do not seem to recognize that problem. And if they do not recognize that problem, this is my question to you, how can we trust them to bring any solution? Because for a very long time, we have been unable to articulate that issue. They have been unable to come up with solutions. And now what they're doing is playing catch-up by imitating. And as I said previously, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So we do not take anything negative about that. However, Kenyans should be smart enough to be able to look at these